All right, folks, welcome back to the deep dive. You ready to jump in?
Always.
Awesome. Today we're going to get into Windows Server 2025.
Oh, wow.
We've got Microsoft's What's New article.
Hot off the presses, December 5th?
Yep, 2024. And we're going deep.
Absolutely. None of that surface level stuff.
You want the nuggets that really matter.
That's what we're here for.
And to guide us, I've got our expert here who's amazing at connecting the dots.
Happy to be here.
So let's start with something everyone can relate to: server upgrades.
Yeah,
Ugh, those things can be such a hassle.
I hear ya. But actually, that's one of the cool things about Windows Server 2025.
Oh.
It makes upgrades so much easier, like way easier.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You can do in-place upgrades.
In place.
Yep. From versions as old as Windows Server 2012 R2.
Wait, so no more hopping through multiple versions?
Nope. Straight from 2012 R2 to 2025.
That's going to be a huge time saver.
Huge. Less downtime, fewer compatibility issues.
And probably a lot less stress for IT admins, right?
Absolutely. Plus, there's an optional in-place upgrade path through Windows Update.
Even more flexibility. And I bet IT admins are loving that they can control this through group policy.
For sure. Organized rollouts are a dream.
Okay, now for something that caught my eye, the new look.
Yeah, Windows Server finally got that Windows 11 makeover.
It looks so sleek.
It does. And it makes server management feel more user-friendly.
Even if you're dealing with complex stuff, it's nice to have a clean interface.
Definitely. And did you see they added Bluetooth support?
No more dongles.
It's the little things. They've also got pinned apps now for quick access.
I saw they pinned some server-specific defaults, like Azure Arc setup.
Makes sense. And Server Manager, of course.
So convenient.
Right. And for the command line folks, Windows Terminal is pre-installed now.
No more extra downloads. And hey, Task Manager got that Windows 11 upgrade too.
Looking sharp.
But let's move on to what really matters: security.
Yeah, that's where it gets serious.
We got to talk about Hotpatch.
Oh yeah, Hotpatch is amazing.
Patching security vulnerabilities without rebooting.
Game changer. Especially for critical servers.
Minimal disruption, fewer security gaps.
It's still in preview though, and only for Azure Arc connected machines.
Ah, speaking of Azure Arc, we're seeing that pop up a lot.
You're right, it's becoming more integrated.
Okay, back to security. Credential Guard is enabled by default now.
When the hardware supports it, yes.
For those who don't know, what is Credential Guard?
It basically protects your login credentials from theft.
Like putting them in a vault.
Exactly. Even admins can't access them.
So attackers have a much harder time.
It's a huge step forward in security.
Okay, let's get a little technical now. Active Directory Domain Services, or ADDS.
The heart of many IT infrastructures.
And they've made some big improvements.
One of the best is the new 32K database page size option.
So what does that mean in simple terms?
Imagine reading a book. Instead of one word at a time, you can now read whole paragraphs.
Ah, so it's way faster for large organizations.
Way faster. Like upgrading from dial-up to fiber internet.
And they've got other AD improvements too, right?
Yep. Object repair capabilities.
No more recreating everything from scratch.
Saves so much time. And they've improved security for confidential attributes.
Locking things down tighter.
And support for TLS 1.3 and LDAP.
For even stronger encryption.
They really went all out.
Okay, let's talk about something that gives IT admins nightmares.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Managing local admin passwords.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Windows LAPS to the rescue.
Thankfully, it got a big upgrade.
For those who don't know, Windows LAPS is like a central password vault.
For those local administrator accounts.
So you don't have different passwords on every machine.
Right, and now it's even easier to manage.
Oh, so?
Automatic account creation, customizable names, even randomized names.
So much less manual work.
It also handles image rollbacks now.
Meaning?
If you roll back an image, it automatically rotates the password.
No more mismatched passwords.
Yep, it's pretty smart.
Okay, enough about passwords. Let's talk about performance.
Everyone wants speed.
It's like the need for speed, but for servers.
And Windows Server 2025 delivers.
Especially for virtualization.
Hyper-V got some serious love.
I knew you were going to say that. What did they do?
They've increased scalability like crazy.
Okay, give me the numbers.
Up to 4 petabytes of memory in a single Hyper-V host.
That's a lot of memory.
And 2,048 logical processors.
Can it handle everyday workloads?
Easily. And you can consolidate more onto fewer servers.
Save space and energy. And what about dynamic processor compatibility?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. You can now use the latest processor features even with older hardware in your cluster.
It's like bridging the generation gap for processors.
And workgroup clusters can now use live migration.
So you can move running VMs between hosts without disruption.
That's right. More flexibility for non-domain environments.
Flexibility is key. Okay, let's switch gears to storage.
What do we have there?
First up, Dev Drive.
A performance-optimized storage volume for developers.
So it makes development workflows faster.
Blazing fast. It uses ReFS and has special optimizations.
Plus, admins have more control over settings and security.
It's like a dedicated fast lane for developers.
And what about NVMe storage?
Oh, they made NVMe even better.
NVMe, those are the Ferraris of storage.
They are. And now they're even faster and more efficient.
Faster is always better. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
What do you have in mind?
The growing emphasis on Azure Arc integration.
Oh, yes. That's a big one.
For those thinking about hybrid cloud,
It's Microsoft's way of extending Azure management to any infrastructure,
so you can manage Windows Server instances from Azure.
no matter where they are.
And there's a pay-as-you-go licensing option too, right?
Through Azure Arc, yes. Lots of options.
Well, we've covered a lot,
We have.
but there's so much more to explore. We'll be back in a moment with more exciting updates.
Stay tuned.
You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back, everyone. Ready for round 2?
Definitely. Let's do this.
Awesome. Let's talk about software-defined networking, or SDN for short.
SDN. Sounds complex.
It can be,
Yeah.
but it's all about making networks more flexible, easier to manage.
Like bringing the cloud to your network.
Exactly. And Windows Server 2025 has made some big improvements.
Such as
Well, they simplified deploying the network controller.
the brain of your SDN setup.
Yep. It used to be a separate VM. Now it's integrated as a failover cluster service.
So less resource intensive.
And easier to manage.
Efficiency is key.
Always.
Okay, what about this tag-based segmentation thing?
Oh, that's cool. It's a new way to handle security.
Sounds more intuitive.
It is. Let's say you want to apply security policies to all your web servers.
Right,
Instead of using IP addresses, you can just tag them as web servers.
like giving them a label.
Exactly. And then create rules based on those tags,
So much easier to organize and apply policies.
especially in large environments. Plus, they've added default network policies.
Default policies, like out of the box.
Yep. They follow a zero-trust approach.
Meaning,
They deny all inbound access by default. You have to specifically allow certain ports.
so it's more secure by default?
Exactly. It prevents accidental exposure.
Like having a security guard at the gate.
Perfect analogy.
What about companies with multiple locations?
They've got you covered. Windows Server 2025 introduces SDN multi-site.
Multi-site.
It connects applications across different locations.
Like they're in the same building.
Seamless communication.
No more complex configurations.
Nope. SDN multi-site handles it all, and you get unified network policy management.
So if you move a VM, you don't have to reconfigure everything.
SDN multi-site takes care of it.
Pretty impressive.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, and they've also improved performance for SDN gateways.
Because speed matters.
Always. They've optimized the Layer 3 gateways for better throughput
Faster networking.
and less CPU overhead.
Win-win.
Definitely.
Ah,
Okay, ready to talk about containers.
Containers, those are pretty hot right now.
They are. They make building and deploying applications so much easier.
So what's new in Windows Server 2025 for containers?
They've focused on improving container portability. You can easily move container images between hosts.
No more compatibility issues.
It's all about making things smoother. Easier upgrades, more flexibility for developers.
Sounds good. Before we move on, let's mention the Windows Server Insider Program.
Ah, yes, the Insider program.
It's like a sneak peek at the future.
Exactly. You get early access to new releases,
And you can give feedback to Microsoft.
help shape the future of Windows Server.
How do you join?
It's easy. Through Windows Update, you choose the channel that fits your risk tolerance.
So, bleeding edge or more stable?
There's an option for everyone.
Now, before we wrap up, we have to talk more about security.
We've only scratched the
That's
surface.
so important.
Absolutely. And Windows Server 2025 is packed with security enhancements.
Let's dive deeper.
Let's do it.
Okay, security fans, buckle up. We're getting into some serious security stuff now with Windows Server 2025. I know this can get a little techie,
It can.
but it's important stuff, right?
Definitely. If you want to keep your servers safe, this is for you.
Okay, so let's start with virtualization-based security. VBS for short.
VBS.
Yeah. What's the deal with that?
Imagine it like a fortress inside your server.
A fortress?
Yeah. A secure space to protect your most sensitive data.
So even if an attacker gets through the outer defenses,
They hit this VBS wall.
they can't get to the data inside.
Exactly. It's like a safe room for your most critical stuff.
And I heard it also protects cryptographic keys.
That's right. VBS key protection isolates those keys.
Even a rogue admin can't access them.
Not easily, no. It's a big step forward in securing those keys.
Okay, so that's data and keys. What about network connections?
Yeah, those are important too.
And it seems like they've made them more secure in this release.
For sure.
I saw something about improved certificate management.
Oh yeah, they added support for SHA 256 hashes.
What does that mean in simple terms?
It's a stronger lock on your door, basically.
Okay, to prevent what?
Certificate spoofing, where an attacker pretends to be someone they're not.
Ah, so it's about preventing impersonation attacks?
Exactly. And they've also improved SMB security, which is huge.
SMB, that's the file sharing protocol, right?
Yep, the one that's been targeted a lot.
By ransomware and all sorts of nasty stuff.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But Microsoft is really focusing on SMB security now.
What kind of improvements?
Well, SMB signing is now mandatory for all outbound connections.
SMB signing.
It helps prevent man-in-the-middle attacks.
So it's not optional anymore.
Nope. It's enforced across the board.
A big step towards secure file sharing?
For sure. And you can even enforce SMB encryption now.
So all data is encrypted while it's traveling.
Exactly. No more snooping.
And they've added an authentication rate limiter too, right?
Yeah, for brute force attacks.
So if someone's guessing passwords repeatedly,
The system will slow them down.
makes it harder to break in.
Exactly. Oh, and they're finally addressing the NTLM issue.
NTLM, that's the old protocol with security weaknesses.
That's the one. They're adding support for blocking NTLM for remote outbound connections.
About
I know, right? It's been a long time coming. It's all about pushing people to use Kerberos.
which is more secure.
Much more.
Okay, before we wrap up, what about SMB over QUIC?
Oh, that's interesting.
QUIC, that's the fast web protocol, right?
Yeah, it's known for speed and security.
So what's it doing with SMB?
They're using QUIC to transport SMB traffic,
Meaning
faster, more secure file sharing.
even over the internet.
Exactly. Great for remote users.
Awesome. So it's clear that Microsoft has gone all in on security,
They've covered all the bases.
from virtualization to network connections to SMB.
It's great to see.
So what's the one big takeaway about Windows Server 2025?
I'd say it's a huge EE step forward. It's not just a small update.
They really upped their game.
They did. Practical enhancements, performance boosts, hybrid cloud advancements, you name it.
Like Windows Server on steroids.
Uh-huh, kinda.
But here's a question for our listeners.
Shoot.
What does this focus on Azure Arc tell us about the future?
The future of Windows Server.
Yeah. It seems like they're blurring the lines between on-premises and the cloud.
It's definitely a trend to watch.
Well, we've covered a ton of information today. If you want to dive deeper,
Pun intended.
maybe. Check out the What's New article on Microsoft Learn.
It's got all the details.
And of course, subscribe to the Deep Dive for more exciting explorations.
We're always diving into something new.
Until next time, keep learning and keep exploring.